Welcome back. Before this Remembrance Day, we had a chance to do some socially distanced interviews with veterans, including Malcolm Andrade, who shared his experiences flying Spitfires in the Second World War.
And he also shared his memories of the Blitz, when bombs and Nazi propaganda rained down across England.
This is a German leaflet dropped in 1940 over Britain by the thousands from their aircraft. And the whole idea of this, a last appeal to reason, is we don't really want to fight you. So if you surrender now, we'll be nice to you. Nobody was taken in by that. So these things came down by the thousand. This is plasticized, but it's very thin paper, wartime paper. So we kids used to bundle it up with elastic bands and sell it as toilet paper.
How appropriate. Let's talk about those times, because, you know, we think nowadays we think of 9/11 and the current pandemic that we're in as dark times. We have no idea just how dark it was during the Second World War, and the movies that we see tend to romanticize it, but those were indeed very dark times. Can you talk about that?
There was bombing, continuous bombing. We were lucky we were out more in the country on holidays, but the city of Bath, where I went to school, that was bombed occasionally because Bristol was nearby, and that was bombed continuously. And I remember one occasion I got the mumps, so they put me in the infirmary, and everybody went home for the Easter holidays but me. And a German night bomber came along and was coned in the searchlights, and I guess he panicked. He jettisoned his bombs, and 1, 2, 3, 4. And my building was here, and the floor was here where I was in the infirmary. It blew me out of my bed and turned the bed over me, blew all the windows in, and not a very pleasant experience. And the nurse came rushing in figuring I was dead, and all she heard was a bunch of swear words.
Malcolm's okay.
Get this. It was amusing to look at in a way, but it was kind of routine. You'd hear anti-aircraft guns open up periodically, just about every night or every second night. You'd hear the German aircraft. It's different to a British aircraft.
You get desensitized to it or numb to it?
Yeah. You just like rationing, right? Yeah. Rationing, you had to accept it, right down to the sweets you could get. If your folks wanted you to go out and help them shop in the markets, everyone had to have a ticket or a coupon to buy anything. There was a coupon for this, a coupon for that. So, you know, that plus air raids and things like that, you just got used to. And at school, where they had frequent warnings, always at night, they'd just take us down into the basement cellar, which was solid concrete, and we'd just stay there until the raid was over, then come back up and go back to sleep again. They'd let us sleep an extra hour or two, and then classes begin, just like normal. So you got used to it.
Hard to imagine getting used to that, but we're surrounded by a lot of famous airplanes, but you flew the Spitfire.
I think they call us Jagus or something like that, which means ground attack. And that's what was our role. So what we would do is attack anything that moved on the enemy side. Trains, trucks, cars, troops, anything. And the way they worked that was brilliant. They had the army advancing slowly, and they had an arrangement like this. How would you know where the front line is? It keeps back and forth. So they came up with a wonderful scheme. You'd have Army headquarters, Air Force headquarters. The two of them would get all the communications from each side, and what they would do was funnel it into 2 offices in a Jeep with radio and everything that could communicate to base and to aircraft, okay? So what they would do was they would get the latest frontline position from the Army guy. He'd relate that to the RAF. The RAF would then come back to the squadrons and say, 2 squadrons assigned to X part of the front line. And the other thing you had was colors of the day. Every day it was colors of the day. It changed every day. That's how you knew who was friendly and who wasn't.
Right. And speaking of unfriendlies, tell me about that one occasion, there was one individual that you saw taking off on a motorcycle.
Well, we strafed this group of SS, and we really gave it to them, being SS. And this motorcyclist, I guess he was a dispatch rider, he took off like a bat out of hell, and there were trees all over the road. It was just a two-lane highway, so-called. And I don't know if he had urgent communications that he wanted to get to somebody, but two of us took after him, and he's probably doing about 80 miles an hour, and we're doing about 130 just to keep up with him.
Yeah.
And once we got him in the clear, we just blew him apart.
Yeah, I bet that's one of those memories that it was like it was yesterday.
Well, you
Stays with
feel
you.
sorry for the guy, just trying to do his job. So will we.
We'll meet again. Don't know